So, recently we've done my National League predictions, and this time we're going a division higher. This is my League 2 prediction for the 2025-26 season. So, without further ado, let's get to the table. 24th, Accrington Stanley. Of course, I believe Accrington Stanley, as well as many football fans, we believe Accrington Stanley will finish bottom. And of course, it shows they've not got a good enough squad, I don't think. And they barely survived relegation last season, but they barely stayed up, and I don't think they will be as lucky this time. 23rd, Newport County. And I'm sorry, XL fans, but I believe you're going down with the Stanley, because it's another common prediction I keep seeing. I keep seeing Accrington Stanley and Newport going down. And I have to admit it, I believe what they are saying, but I keep seeing a mixed predictions, some even bizarre. Don't know if I mentioned that with the Stanley. But I believe Newport and Accrington Stanley will both go down together this season, unfortunately. 22nd, Harrogate. And barely surviving relegation, Harrogate Town. I believe they've had a good run recently, because of course they are somewhat recently promoted after they beat Notts County in the playoff final back in 2020, I believe it was, the lockdown year. But of course they've had a good run, and I believe they will have like a good 1 or 2 more seasons in the League 2. But again, they will survive relegation, barely, I believe. 21st, Cheltenham. And I do believe Cheltenham, it's similar to Harrogate, and I believe it'll be similar to last year, where you have quite a few teams scrapping it out for relegation, because of course, I believe the relegation scrapping League 2 is better than League 1 and National League, just because less go down, and it's much more of a fight to stay up. And I believe Cheltenham will come out on that, like, I believe mostly on top. And my next pick, I think they'll be the first team to stay up comfortably, I believe. 20th, Tranmere. Of course, they were in a relegation scrap last year, Tranmere, but they live on for another year in the Football League. And again, they've, of course, let a lot of good players go, like Kieran Morris, of course, he went to Oldham. Josh Hawkes, of course, again, gone to Oldham. We're just signing all Tranmere's players, but I believe there's still a bit of quality there, of course. Yeah, there's still a lot of quality, I believe. They gave us a really good game in the Cup, and of course we'll be playing again because we've gone up. But I believe they will stay up comfortably this year, and I believe they'll continue to build. 19th, Bromley. And now for Bromley. I believe Bromley, they had a good run last year, and I feel like they'll get too ahead of themselves, and they will dip this season, I believe, quite a long way. I believe last year they were pushing for playoffs, but I believe they will have a massive dip. And of course, they really were doing well last season, survived relegation quite comfortably, and of course, I believe they were even pushing for playoffs, and I believe they will decline quite a bit this season. 18th, Shrewsbury. And now, of course, can't be a video without a bit of a controversy, but I believe Shrewsbury, they will not do well this season. Of course, they've just been recently relegated, and I've even seen people say that Shrewsbury will get relegated, but I don't think so. They're too big of a club to be relegated, I think. And I believe the players will see that, and they will survive relegation. I believe people have been saying they'll be relegated because of their ownership, but they've got a decent squad, and I believe they'll just try and push on and survive relegation quite comfortably as well. 17th, Colchester. And I know this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, but I don't believe Colchester will be either promotion contenders or relegation contenders. I believe they'll have a pretty mid-table season, and I personally don't think they will be all that. Again, it's a hard league to predict, I think, League Two, and same can be said about every division in the EFL except from the Premier League. But again, I don't think they will do that well. I don't think. 16th, Barrow. Made a few decent signings, and I think that will keep them mid-table, Barrow. Of course, they brought in Charlie Raglan. He's a really good centre-half, and he can bag when important. And he really did show that last season at Oldham. But again, similarly to Colchester, I don't think Barrow will do that well. Of course, recently they have been pushing playoffs, but I don't think they'll do that. 15th, Salford. And now this is more of a gut feeling one. I think Salford will underachieve this season. But again, as I said, it's a hard league to predict, and this is going to look so bad, but I feel like Salford recently, they've been on a bit of a decline, and this will show that, and I think after this season, they will build on and go towards more the playoffs, the top half of the table towards playoffs and promotion. 14th, Oldham. Now, my team, Oldham. Originally, I was planning on putting us 10th, but honestly, we do not have a decent enough striker, I don't think. And as much as I love Fondop, he is better off the bench, but I think we'll survive, I think, but I just don't see us finishing as high as 10th, or some people even putting us in the playoffs, which I think is absolutely bizarre. There is no way we are going up at all this season. And we're not even getting playoffs, I don't think. And, of course, if we do get a striker, maybe that opinion will change. But as of now, we've got no striker. That's good enough for League Two. 13th, Barnet. And now we have last season's National League champions, Barnet. Of course, Barnet, they did an incredible job in winning the league last season, and I believe they'll have a decent first season in the Football League, well, back in the Football League, finishing a solid 13th place, and of course it really shows they've got a lot of quality in the squad. They've got Mark Shelton, of course. He wasn't the best at Oldham, but he's really proved himself at Barnet, I think, and they've got a good attack, and I think the defence will let them down, of course. Recently, of course, they've just gone out to Newport, drawing 2-2. Of course, they were 2-0 down, but they incredibly came back and won it last minute. But of course, they equalised last minute, but went out on penalties, which is unfortunate, I think. And I think their defence they've not got the best defence. 12th, Crawley. I feel like with Crawley, with them just being relegated, I feel like they'll have that feeling they're still in League One, but I feel like, it won't be enough for them to push for a promotion or playoffs, and I feel like they'll have quite a low finish and finish mid-table, and I think relegation does have that impact on you. Of course, when Oldham got relegated, we were in a bit of relegation scrap in non-league for a bit under Unsworth, and of course we beat Torquay 3-2, and we also beat Yeovil. I remember that game, and of course we pushed for a mid-table finish, and I feel like that's the sort of mentality Crawley will have, I think. 11th, Cambridge. Cambridge, basically the same thing as I said for Crawley. I won't go too much into this one because very similar. Just been relegated, pushed for a mid-table finish. But I do believe Cambridge will get the upper hand over Crawley, I believe. So with that said, I'm putting Cambridge above Crawley. 10th, Grimsby. Now, personally, I do think Grimsby, they're a very solid club, but I think they will make quite a late push to the playoffs, but I do believe they will miss out, unfortunately, because they are a solid club, but I don't really see them getting anywhere near, well, I don't really see them getting playoffs, really. But they will show quite a bit of quality towards the rear end of the season, I think, and I think they'll be this year's version of Hartlepool, because I know they had a bit of a late push for playoffs, but missed out, of course. And I feel like it will be somewhat similar to that. 9th, Gillingham. Now, Gills, they've been improving over the last few years, and I feel like they will, again, show their quality this season, similar to Grimsby. And I feel like they'll be consistently like the same all season, like pushing towards playoffs. But again, similarly to Grimsby, just ever so slightly missing out. So again, won't go too much into detail with that. 8th, Walsall. Now, I believe Walsall, they'll have a very similar season to last season. I believe they'll be in and around playoffs, but I believe they will bottle it like they did last season again. I just really see something like that happening, and they'll be really unlucky to just drop out the playoffs, and the team that I have next will possibly, I think they'll snatch it last day, I believe, because very competitive league, League 2, because of course the least amount of teams get relegated and 4 teams get promoted, which is absolutely mental. But it can line up for some tasty battles. 7th, Fleetwood. Now, personally, I think Fleetwood will be the most underrated team this year in League 2. Of course, they've signed Norwood from Oldham, and I believe they will go on and push for the playoffs. Personally, I don't think they will go up through the playoffs. Again, similarly with the National League video, I will say who will go up through playoffs. But again, Fleetwood, they will push for a playoffs finish. 6th, Crewe Alexandra. And Crewe, they've really hit their form recently in League 2. I believe they will get into the playoffs. And I believe they will do well this season, because I believe they were in League 1 a few years ago, but they got relegated, and I think they are slowly working their way back to their League 1 status, and it's really shown that. And I believe a few years ago, they barely missed out after losing to Crawley in the playoffs. And did they get playoffs last year? I'm not sure, but I believe they will this year, and they'll have a decent season. 5th, Swindon. Of course, former Premier League club Swindon Town they'll go from Swindon to Windon. Sorry, I had to make that joke. Sorry, Neve, for stealing your joke there. But I believe Swindon, they'll have a decent season and finish in the playoffs. And I believe they're a solid side. I've got a few friends who are Swindon fans, and they've got a good following. They're taking 2,000 to Walsall, and I believe they'll have a very strong season, similarly to, of course, Fleetwood and Crewe, who I believe will also make the playoffs. 4th, Chesterfield. They got playoffs last season, and I think they will comfortably do it again. Chesterfield, they're a solid side, and they've really shown why they're a definite League 1 side, and nearly going for the double promotion, which very commendable. And I believe they will go on and go for the playoffs again, and I believe they will do very well this season. They'll be a team to look out for, I believe, and do well. 3rd, Bristol Rovers. And now, of course, the gas, Bristol Rovers. What a club they are. I believe they're too big for League 2, I believe, and they will, of course, go straight back up where they belong. They're a definite League 1 club, and I remember a few years ago they needed to win by 7 goals, and they did so against Barrow, beating them 7-0. And I believe they will go and push for automatic promotion again, and I believe they will achieve it. So going up, Bristol Rovers. 2nd, Notts County. Now, Notts County, I believe, of course, again, They went up a few seasons ago, and they're already pushing for promotion. And they're they were even a first division club at one point, Notts County, and I believe they will achieve their promotion back to League One this season. They're a solid club. They've got a great fan base, and I feel sorry for them because they just miss out on the league, of course. To I believe they've got the best squad, and of course that is first MK Dons, and first place walk in the league. MK Dons. They've got a squad that is too good for this league. They've got Aaron Collins from Bolton, signed those two players from Sheffield Wednesday, and they've got a League One, if not Championship squad. Actually, I think that is a bit far. Maybe they've got a League One, mid-table League One standard of squad, and I believe they'll use that, and they will walk this league. And I hate to say it, I don't like MK Dons for the obvious reasons, but I guess it happens, you know. But anyway, for my playoff winners, and I've gone for a toss-up between two clubs, but I believe Chesterfield. Chesterfield will win the playoffs and get promoted back to League One. Again, I believe they're a definite League One club. Same with Oldham, I think. We're a League One club, I think. But Chesterfield, they've pushed for it last season, and I believe they will achieve it this season. But with that said, thank you for watching. I will do my League One predictions tomorrow and my Championship predictions next week. And this video, it's possibly one of the worst videos I've ever made, really. I feel like this video has not been the best, but this is a very hard league to predict, I think. But anything could happen, and I'm looking forward to what this season has to offer. But with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in a bit. Take care.